welcome to the Bag Makers Workroom. I am Chris with Simply Classic, and today's Thursday, July 31st, 2025. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Bag Makers Workroom. We really appreciate you joining us this evening. We go live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and July was self-proclaimed Leather Month. And we are at the end. This is our final episode. So I want to say hi to Mary Lou. She is here from Massachusetts. Thank you so much for joining us. Cece, I believe your name is Candace, if I remember right. She says she's been waiting for this. And Lynn says hello from Cleveland, Ohio. So I do appreciate all of you taking a little time out of your busy day to join us this evening. So our episode tonight is all about base coat and edge painting. And again, this is the final week of Leather Month. We hope that this has been beneficial for you. We hope that you've learned a lot. We really tried to go through and hit on all the topics that we know you have questions about. And so you can see here what our themes and topics were, and we are at the end. So here's what we have planned for you today. We're going to start, of course, by going over the Simple Classic Scoop. I'm going to show you our brand new pattern, the Zara. We're going to go over our perfect pairings. Then I'm going to tell you about the history of Loewe bags. We're going to talk about base coating and edge painting leather. And then we'll feature our customers' bags in Artistry Avenue. And then finally do a Q&A and a pattern giveaway at the end. So as a reminder, if you have any questions during the live stream, please ask them in the YouTube chat. Take a second to click the thumbs up button right now, because that's really going to help us reach more people, and that's what we want to do, is get more people informed. So thank you so much for doing that. So it's time for the Simply Classic Scoop, and this is what I tell you kind of what's going on in our little corner of the bag making world. And the first thing, so we are experimenting a little bit with audio today. And the audio, I guess, is not doing very well. So we're going to hold on 1 second. We're going to switch audio. I'm going to grab my microphone. Give us 1 second. Okay. Are just making sure that you can hear us. So we appreciate that little blip there. Trying out different things. We know sometimes the audio is a little glitchy, and we just want to make sure that you can hear us okay. So thanks for hanging in there with us while we tried out our new microphone, but obviously it wasn't quite as good as we expected. So no problem there. So again, we are going to start out with the Simply Classic Scoop, and this is where we talk about all the things happening kind of in our corner of the little bag making world. And the first thing we want to talk about is our new pattern, which is the Zara. So I know a lot of you have already purchased the Zara today. If you are a subscription box member, you've already received the Zara. I've given you a couple sneak peeks. This here is the Zara. We have one there at the top. We have one here at the bottom. We're going to show you a little bit more about the Zara in just a minute. The other thing I want to tell you about is that we are having a flash leather sale, with it being the last day of Leather Month. We sent an email out this morning about leather, but just in case you missed it, it is a one-day sale. And it's, again, just to close out the month. So if you purchased the new pattern, if you purchased the Zara pattern, it's $12.49, then you will automatically get 20% off all leather kinds. So you don't need a promo code, just add it to your cart and the discount will be automatically applied. Now, if you're a subscription box member and you already own the Zara, don't worry, because you can still get the 20% discount. If you go to the Zara subscription box page, and this is linked in the description below, and enter the password that you received on the card that you received in your box, you're going to get that exclusive coupon code. So again, your password is on the card you received in the box. That's the same password you use to watch the video and get a copy of your pattern. Okay? And make sure you do that before midnight because the flash sale ends at midnight. And again, you will get 20% off leather if you either use that coupon code if you're a subscription box member, or if you purchase the Zara pattern, you will get 20% off leather. So the other thing I want to let you know about is that we are officially going to be teaching another online leather bag making by machine class of the Lacy, and it is going to be this September. So this is the bag behind me, the Lacy, and we've already taught a couple rounds of it. This will be, I think, the third or fourth one that we teach. And so, so far we've had great results with it. The students have really enjoyed it. And so as soon as we get it up online, we will give you more information on it. That'll be next week. We just want to kind of give you a heads up. And then the last thing we want, or another thing we want to let you know about, is we have restocked some of the faux leather that we're out of stock on. We were out of stock on. We got a big shipment in last week at the very end of the week. So our faux ostrich in the color purple is back. The blue-green faux ostrich is black, or blue-green faux crop is back. And then we have a couple others that we were short on, the magenta and the aged hot pink. And so everything is back in stock, so check it out. There's a couple things they sent us that were incorrect, so we're working with them to get that corrected. And the things that we are out of stock on, which is some adhesive lining, we'll be having hopefully back in the shop within 30 days. So before we move on, we need to pick our winner from last week's episode. And every week we give away one PDF pattern to a live viewer and the other to someone watching the replay. We had the name of everyone who entered here. We're going to switch to the overhead. And this is for a Lusso pattern. So the Lusso was our pattern of the week last week. And we asked you to share your first name and whether you preferred a slouchy bag or a structured bag. And I'm really interested to get the results. 9 people said they preferred slouchy and 20 said they wanted structured. So interesting. I always love results like that because it really helps us know what people are looking for. So we have all the winners. Let's go ahead and, or not all the winners. It'd be nice if everybody won, huh? We have all the people who entered and we're going to pick a winner. And so Nancy, this is Nancy Olson, 6004, says she prefers structured. Sorry, that's a little blurry. Let's see if we can get that a little more. There we go. Nancy, congratulations. You have won a PDF copy of the Lusso. So make sure that you email. Now, this is important. A lot of people are not emailing the right email address. You want to email share@simplyclassic.net to get your prize. Okay, don't email us on our website. Don't email me personally. That's going to get lost in the shuffle. So make sure you email share@simplyclassic.net and we will go ahead and get you a copy of your Lusso. So congratulations. So we are now going to move on to our featured product. And again, the featured product is the Zara, our brand new pattern. So it's really, pattern releases are always exciting for us. It is always things, patterns are hard. I mean, they take some time. It's a long process. And when they're finally out there, it is super exciting. So this is a bag, and I've kind of given you a couple sneak peeks. Let me go ahead and grab this and bring it a little closer. This was inspired by the Loewe puzzle bag. And that was a bag that a lot of you really, I've heard from many of you who really wanted it. It is not an exact replica of the Loewe bag because I had to really modify it for home sewist use or home sewist abilities. With our machines, we can only do so much. But it is a little more versatile and you can really customize this how you want. We're going to give you some ideas on that a little bit later on as we progress during the episode. But we want to take a little closer look at the bag. So here's where the inspiration came from before we go over the bag. Loewe. A lot of you know Loewe, you love these puzzle bags, and here is a collection of some of their puzzle bags. So the green bag on the left is a classic puzzle bag. It's called what they call a cuboid shape, which is basically a fancy way to say box. The pieces on the front do not overlap. If you look closely, you can see there's a space between them and a little bit of leather is peeking through. The bag in the middle is what's called the puzzle edge bag. And at first glance, the puzzle edge bag is very similar to the classic puzzle. But if you look more closely, you can see that the edges of the front pieces actually overlap. And there's only one row of stitches. Now, rumor has it that Loewe is phasing out the original puzzle bag in favor of this style because it's easier and cheaper to produce, but I don't know that that's actually been confirmed. And then the bag on the right is the puzzle hobo bag, and this is probably the closest design to the Zara. The puzzle hobo came out in 2021. It was only available for a couple of years before it was discontinued, but it's still very popular and it goes for thousands of dollars on the resale market. It's wider and it's shorter than other styles, but it's also a little bit slouchier. You can see how the flap covers more of the front and it mirrors the silhouette of the pattern pieces beneath it. So that was something I really worked hard to get right on the Zara. I did make, and I was going to tell you, I made a few versions, ha ha ha. I made about a gazillion versions with a flap that sits on top and, you know, trying to get the angles right. But anyway, we really liked the puzzle hobo bag and that's what we decided to do. So the biggest difference between this puzzle hobo bag and the Zara is the strap. The Loewe strap is stitched directly to the bag and it's not connected with hardware, which is part of what makes it a hobo bag. The Zara, however, has an adjustable strap that can be converted to a crossbody. So we're going to talk more about Loewe bags throughout this episode, but I did want you to, you know, just kind of, again, take a look at these bags and see where the inspiration came from. I think that you can agree it is pretty close. So we're going to go to the overhead and we're going to take a look at the Zara. So the Zara is, again, a bag that was inspired by the Loewe puzzle bag. Isn't it cool? I decided to go ahead and add a little bit of quilting on this one just for fun and just in this one piece. You can do so much with this bag. The finished size is 11.5 inches wide. It's 6 inches tall. And it is 3 inches deep, okay, depth here. The skill level is confident beginner to intermediate. And I want to show you this shoulder strap. It is an adjustable shoulder strap, and it's adjustable with one roller buckle. It is really important that this is a roller buckle because what you're able to do is easily loosen this and roll it, you know, in one direction or the other, to get to a different level, and then you just pull it and it's nice and tight. We do have a strap keeper also on this bag, which is super handy. It can be converted to a crossbody. It all depends on how many holes you put in your handle. So it has, of course, a very unique asymmetric shape to it. And again, this is the point here that I worked so hard to make sure it fell right in the correct spot. It has a zipper closure on top. Inside, we have a zipper pocket on one side, and we have a divided slip pocket here on the other. And this is a long pocket because it's a long bag. So you really can divide this in a couple of different pockets, no problem. On the back, we have a really cool pocket. And we have a kind of a pair of sunglasses here and a pen. So you can see that it's really 3 different pockets. Now you can fit your cell phone here in the middle. And in the video, I show you how to make this pocket specific for your cell phone. It's going to adjust the size of these pockets here. It may eventually kind of make them maybe not so useful. However, it's always good for a pair of sunglasses that you can slip in there, a pen, chapstick, anything that's really thin really slips in here nicely. Okay. So, of course, we also have the key fob inside. I forgot to mention that. But the Zara pattern is $12.49 right now. And again, We also have the hardware kits, like always, for the Zara in bronze, nickel, and gunmetal. All of those are 10% off this week as well. So before we move on, we want to show you some photos from our amazing pattern testers. So these are all different versions of the Zara created by our testers. They are so creative, and I love how unique each one of these bags is. Some of the testers added hardware on the flap. Now let me tell you that the flap is not supposed to have any hardware on it. It's supposed to be floppy, and therefore it also has no stabilizer in it. It was designed that way. But some people wanted to put a closure on there. You certainly can do that. But take a look at these. You can certainly go online or our website and look at them and look at the interiors. They really did a fantastic job. All of them are a little bit different, and everybody is amazing. My testers are fantastic. So thank you to all of them. So speaking of inspiration, it's been a while since we've looked at some design bag inspiration together. So today I want to show you some examples of Loewe's puzzle bag. They do all kinds of different color blocking and some unique embellishments. So let's take a look. We want to start with some simple color blocking. And because of the way the bag is constructed, there's so many different ways you can mix and match colors and textures. These bags both use two solid colors, but the placement of the contrasting color is different. And you can see it really changes the look of the bag. We have the same thing here, but with 3 colors this time instead of 2 colors. This is a monochromatic color scheme. So even though there are 4 different colors here, it really doesn't look as busy because they're all different shades of the same color of blue-green. This bag, on the other hand, definitely makes a statement. It's loud and it's bright and in your face with 5 different contrasting colors. Now, here's where things start to get really interesting. This bag uses pattern pieces that were stitched together to make stripes. You can tell that they were stitched very meticulously around the angles and the placement, and so it looks very clean and intentional. They use the same method here in this other bag, but this is a lot more subtle because of the monochromatic color scheme. They use suede and a matching solid instead of 2 contrasting colors like the last bag. I'll tell you what, when this bag came up on the screen, we all went, oh, I mean, it is just beautiful. We love this one. So this here is a different take on stripes. They actually use striped canvas and then layered strips of burgundy leather on top of the red stripes to give it some more texture and dimension. This one here is a belted bag, and usually we see belted bags with the belt towards the top. I don't really think I've ever seen one like this before, but it's really cool. Now, I will say that the Zara is a little slouchier than the classic puzzle bag, but it's also not as tall. So if you end up trying this, you might need to play around with the dimensions a little bit. And then finally, we have 2 fringed puzzle bags. They added fringe on the front of the bag between the 2 geometric front pieces. I really love the idea, but I think it would look even better on the hobo style Zara, like what we have, if it was at the edge of the flap instead of being in between the 2 pieces because of the way the flap folds. So anyway, a lot of different ideas and different things of how you can do this, and we could spend hours on this. There are tons of Loewe puzzle bags out there. I encourage you to get online, take a look, and see what inspires you. But I hope this really helped you kind of focus in on maybe what you liked, and let me know which is your favorite, because maybe I'll make a video to recreate a hack in the future for it. I think that'd be cool. So next is our perfect pairings, and this is where we pair some of our leather and faux leather with matching lining, thread, and hardware. Now, the faux leather pairing we're going to do is using the 2 colors here, and we have a bag up there with opposite. Okay? So on one of them, I did the lighter green in the center. The other one, I did the darker green in the center. So those 2 greens are leaf green. Oops, let me go ahead and pull this up. leaf green, which is this lighter green, and sage green. Okay, those are the two colors. We recommend the beige chambray by Tilda. Of course, recommend the bronze hardware, and then sand in either Tex 70 or Tex 45. Either one would look amazing. And you don't necessarily have to, put the dark panel light. Maybe you do the flat in the dark panel, or you do everything else light, or, get creative with this. I cannot wait to see what you come up with this bag because there's so many different options. Now, for our leather pairing, we have got something that I think is super cool. We have our tan leather, which is this lighter leather. And we think that what we call holy camel would be amazing with this. We think that that accent would be so pretty. It's almost got like a little bit of a suede texture to it. It would be really pretty. We would recommend the brown this is the chambray brown by Tilda, and of course bronze hardware. And then we also recommend the sand thread on this. So we think that this would make a gorgeous Zara or any other bag that you may want to make, but we think it is amazing. Now remember that all leather, okay, is 20% off through midnight. Starting tomorrow, these two hides will be 10% off, okay? But if you want 20% off, you gotta get them tonight. Okay, so we are going to move on to the Thursday thread. And the Thursday thread is where we tell a story, some kind of story about me, one of you, or maybe from history. And usually we save this segment until after Sharpen Your Skills. But since we're already talking about Loewe, we're going to stay on that topic for now. And we're going to talk about our skill builder topic afterwards, which is base coating and edge painting. So stick around for that. So Loewe is a Spanish fashion house that specializes in luxury leather goods. Over the past few years, they've absolutely exploded in popularity. You just saw how their iconic puzzle bag inspired our new Zara pattern. So now let's take a look at what inspired that design and how Loewe became so well known. So this is a graphic from Google Trends that shows us the popularity of the search term Loewe over the past 20 years here in the US. As you can see, the trend line remains pretty steady until the past 3 years or so, when there's a huge incline. That might lead you to think that Loewe is a new and trendy brand, but in truth, they've been in operation for almost 200 years. That surprised me. I did not know that. Loewe has been successful in Europe and Asia for many years, but in the US, it's a newer market for them. So we're going to go back to 1840 in Spain, where it all began. So the company that would eventually become Loewe began in 1846 by two craftsmen named Jose Silva and Florencino Rivas. They opened a leather and fur shop in Madrid. They sold small leather goods like bags and wallets and gun holsters. And over the next 25 years, they brought other artisans into their collective, and that's how they met Henrik Loewe Rusberg. Now, Henrik is more commonly known by his Spanish name Enrique. And when he was was a 20-year-old leather craftsman for Germany. Okay, so when he started, he was 20 years old, and he came over from Germany, and he settled in Madrid. And he was really impressed by the leather goods that made by local artisans like Silva and Rivers. So he teamed up with them to turn the leather workshop into a true fashion house, which they called E. Loewe. They opened a second larger shop on one of Madrid's most fashionable streets. By 1905, they had become the official leather goods supplier for the Spanish royalty. Other famous customers included Hollywood stars like Rita Hayworth and Ava Gardner. Loewe is still at that point, was still very exclusive, and not just anyone could walk off the street and buy a bag. That's how exclusive they were. In the 1960s, Loewe released their first ready-to-wear collection, as opposed to custom-made haute couture. they were previously known for. And that's also when they hosted their very first fashion show. It was in the 60s. In the 70s, they introduced the iconic Loewe monogram with 4 interconnecting L's. So we had to look at this monogram for a little bit. If you look at the one on the right, you can see in the top left-hand corner the L. It's just a really fancy cursive L. And then they just turned it in 4 different configurations to get this monogram. I think that's really ingenious. I love that. So it was inspired by old cattle branding iron from Spain. And this is on the left what the logo looked like originally compared to the sleeker version they use now on the right. And you're going to see this symbol stamped on the top flap of most of the Loewe puzzle bags. The company was very successful, but they had some issues behind the scenes, of course. We won't get into all of the drama among the Loewe family, but let me tell you, there was a lot. The founder had 2 sons, Enrique Jr. and Herman. There was a rivalry between the 2 brothers, ultimately led to the sale of the company, unfortunately. And although the family remained involved, and then in the late 80s, the company, which was sold again at that time to LVMH, which is the parent company that owns Louis Vuitton. So like Louis Vuitton owns all these different bag companies, right? Because we talked about last week, Louis Vuitton bought that company as well. So they just own hundreds of luxury brands, and Loewe to this day is still owned by Louis Vuitton. So let's now talk more about Loewe bags. In 1975, they introduced a travel bag called the Amazona. And the 70s in Spain were big time for women empowerment. More women were joining the workforce, and they had more freedom than ever. And travel bags became a symbol of that freedom. The Amazona bag was fashionable and practical, and it was large enough for women to carry all of their necessities with them. Loewe still makes the Amazona bag, now in lots of different sizes, and it's one of their most popular designs. Everybody talks about the puzzle bag, but reality is the Amazona bag is really popular. I really like that black and white one up there on the top right. You can see the original one there on the left, one of the vintage ones. But their most popular bag, of course, is now the puzzle bag. And the classic puzzle was introduced in 2015 by creative director Jonathan Anderson. And now it comes in all different styles. He was inspired by origami, and he said he wanted to completely redefine bag construction and try something that had never been done before. And boy, did he. The result was a complex bag made from 77 different pieces of leather, and it takes 9 hours to create. Now, don't worry, the Zara pattern does not have that many pieces. It doesn't take 9 hours. We really tried to simplify it for you. But look at all these different versions. I really like the red one there too, kind of towards the bottom. It almost looks like there's zippers sewn into the seams. I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's just amazing. And then you have like that east-west kind of Loewe bag there on the left, a couple in. They got Loewe wallets. I mean, all different kinds of things. But it has the same kind of geometric, asymmetric design to it. So the puzzle bag isn't the only big change that Jonathan Anderson made during his time at Loewe. He was very experimental and creative in his designs. He was great at tapping into pop culture, which helped modernize the brand and reach more people. He also led Loewe through a rebrand and changed some of their manufacturing practices. For example, he reduced the amount of hand stitching they do. He added lining back to some of their leather bags after it had been removed from the previous creative director. Earlier this year, Jonathan Anderson left the company to go work at Dior. So he was replaced by a pair of co-creators, Jack McCullough and Lorenzo Hernandez. They were the founders of the fashion brand Proenza Schuler, and they worked together for many years. So yet again, we have a fashion house in transition, and it will be interesting to see what they do next. All of these creative directors, they just kind of hop around to all the different brands. It's crazy how that works. So now in Sharpen Your Skills, this is where we talk about tips and techniques to help you become a better bag maker. And today we're covering base coat and edge painting. So a lot of you have questions on this, and we're going to do a live demo, and we want to show you a little bit about base coating and edge painting. So we're going to go over to the overhead, and this is where we're going to start. So typically when you do any kind of leather work, and let's say this is a little mini strap, what you're going to do is you're going to glue two pieces of leather together wrong sides, okay, wrong sides together. And you're going to allow yourself a cut allowance. Now what that means is that if you want a 1/2 inch strap, you're not going to cut it to 1/2 inch right away. You're going to cut it to 1 inch, glue the two pieces together, and then you're going to cut it down to a 1/2 inch or whatever size you want. So that's basically what has happened here. And you're going to, of course, stitch it, and then at that point we're going to edge paint. So the first thing is when you cut your edge, the reason why you want to allow yourself a cut allowance is because once you cut, your edge is going to be nice and smooth. Okay, it's going to be nice and smooth for you to be able to put some base coat on. When you put base coat, okay, let me back up for just a second. Whenever I paint on leather or use base coat on leather, I'm going to use either uniters or something kind of similar base coat. I'm not going to use the Ghirardini products. The Ghirardini is excellent for faux leather. You're going to see this uniters is what they call a paint primer, and it's a lot thinner, and it just is going to kind of soak into the top of the leather to allow you to apply the paint. Now, in my classes, I teach people how to do this with a skewer. And I know that a lot of you have probably never used a skewer when you paint, but I encourage you to try it. You can kind of hold it like a pencil, like you would normally hold your pencil to write. Sometimes as I'm painting, I even switch it and hold it like this. And the main thing you want to do is make sure you kind of do it at an angle. The reason why I like the skewer so much is because it doesn't allow you to put too much edge paint or base coat on your point. You can only put a small portion. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dip this in and kind of let the little drops fall off. And then as I paint, I'm going to just kind of come at an angle and go ahead and put it on. And you can see it darkens up the leather. Okay. So we have a question. The skewer changed my edge painting game. That was my favorite part of the bandit class. Well, thank you, Stephanie. You know, it's one of those things that I didn't realize I was going to like so much either. And boy, once I used a skewer, I thought that is fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And again, I think that sometimes we put too much and we try to rush it. And I think the main thing that the skewer works for is it allows us to slow the process down. Okay. So you're going to go through and you're going to apply some base coat all down the edge of that. You can see it's kind of soaking into the leather and it's just making it a little darker. Now, once you're done with that, we're going to let it dry. Let me go ahead and wipe off my skewer here. I just use the same skewer over and over, just wipe it off until it gets to a point where it's kind of messed up or has a lot of paint on it. And then at that point, I'll just throw it away and get another skewer. You can buy these in packs of hundreds at the grocery store. I mean, they're super cheap. Okay, now let's say that this is dry, and on the other side, we went ahead and put some base coat down the whole thing. So you can see how that whole side is dark. So now we want to edge paint. Now, sometimes and I say sometimes, usually I'm going to put more than one coat of base coat, and a lot of times I'm going to take some sandpaper, some high grip sandpaper, and I'm not going back and forth and sanding it. All I'm doing is just trying to get any little edges off that might need to come off, okay? So any little bubbles or anything that might make this just a little bit smoother for this process, okay? Now, once that's done, we're going to take our base coat, and I have some dark brown here. Make sure it's good and mixed up, and I'm going to apply that in the same manner I did the base coat. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit on my skewer, and I'm just going to very carefully go ahead and apply the paint. Now, I'm going to see if I can zoom in just a little bit for you. Okay, so you can see that. Try to stay in the camera as I do this. Let's see. And I'm just going to very carefully and just putting a little bit on at a time. Okay, and you're going to go down, of course, the whole length of this. Now, once that dries, you're going to slightly sand one more time, just very lightly, to get off any little edges that, and sometimes you don't need to, and then maybe apply a second coat. Now, the edge paint that I like to use is either the Vernus or the Uniter's edge paint. I'm going to zoom back out and set this aside. And you can see here, this is a Vernus edge paint. The edge paint is, I usually get it from Rocky Mountain Leather. And, you just need a little container like this. I have, some of the basic colors, and then I just mix colors in little cups like this when I need to. You can buy these on Amazon. I have water in here because I'm going to show you something else in just a minute. And I just mix it up and then just go ahead and use it. Okay. So the main thing about edge painting is you've got to take your time. Don't rush it. Okay. That's so important. Too many people try to rush it, and then they end up with edge paint or whatever all over their project, and that's not what we want. Now, I also want to address a really great question that I saw on social media. This was asked in another bag making group that I'm in, and I thought it was really a great question. So Linda asked, which comes first in edge finishing, the paint or the tokonole? So I thought that was a great question, because what she's referring to is this product right here called tokonole. Edge painting is different for veg tan leather than it is for chrome tan leather. Okay, so what we were just painting on right here is chrome tanned. This is a piece of veg tan. So for chrome tan, you're going to apply your base coat, and then you're going to apply your paint. Okay, we know how to do that. We just saw that. For veg tan, it's a totally different process. You don't use paint. You use either this tokonole or you use water. And I'm going to take and bring over my little cup of water here and show you how this works. Now, with veg tanned, you are going to sand. Okay, so you really want to make sure that your edges are nice and sanded. Now, here's 2 pieces of veg tan leather that I glued wrong sides together, and then I went ahead and cut with a rotary cutter and ruler to make sure all the edges were really nice. And really, I don't need to sand. These feel fantastic. Okay, they're nice and smooth. You can do one of 2 things. This edge right here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in again, is finished. Okay, so you can see it's got kind of a little bit of a sheen on it. Let me move that. You can see it's a little darker, and it's super smooth. Now, when you run your finger across that, it's soft and it's smooth. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. And I don't work with veg tan a lot, but you can see I do have some of the products here because I really like to experiment with different things. So you're either going to use this tokonole or you're going to use water. And just for fun, I'm just going to go ahead and use water for this example because I think it shows up a little better. And I usually just put my finger in it and go ahead and wet the side of the leather. Look at how much that darkens that up. Okay, so that's without water and that's with water. And then you're going to use what we call a slicker. So a lot of you have seen this product, maybe wondered what it is. It's called a slicker. And what you do is you fit the edge of your leather inside one of these sections here, whichever one fits the best. And you're just going to rub it back and forth. And I don't want to make you dizzy, so I'm going to do this off camera for just a second. And you go rub it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until it kind of smooths out. Okay, you can see it's a little bit darker there. And then I'm just going to do it again, kind of repeat the process and keep on slicking it. Now, there are hand slickers like this. There are also slickers that you can use that are automatic, like on either on the edge of a drill or maybe even an electric one that you can plug into the wall. And you just keep on doing that. And you can see now that there's two pieces of leather here, but you can't see the line like you can here, okay? And it darkened it up quite a bit. And when you run your finger across this, it's so smooth. It feels so nice. You're going to continue that process over and over until you get a nice finish the way you like. And then you're going to take, I like to use beeswax. So here is a block of beeswax. And I just take this and just kind of rub it over the edge to kind of seal all that in. And if you thought it was soft before, it's really going to feel soft now. Okay. So there's no base coat involved. There's no edge paint involved when you're dealing with veg tan leather. It's a totally different process. So do you ever burnish the edges? Okay, so this is a burnisher. I've called it a slicker. A slicker is kind of a slang term, I guess, for it, but this is a burnisher. So this is what I just showed you. That process is burnishing the edges. Thank you for asking that. All right, Rock. My formula for edge burnishing is sand, edge bevel, water, slick, and then beeswax. So, okay, what Rock is referring to is the first thing he's going to do is sand the edges, just like I mentioned. Now, I did a cut allowance here. You know, felt like I didn't really have to, but what he's going to do is go through and sand this. Now, he's talking about edge bevel. What that is another tool that you go and you actually cut the very edge of this off. So it angles this down a little bit. Okay, that's one thing I forgot to mention, but it would just angle this down and it would angle this down. You're just taking a very tiny little sliver off. Once you do that, you use the water like I just showed you. You use slicker or beveler, okay? Excuse me, not beveler, burnisher. And then he adds beeswax, just like I said. Yep, thank you, Rock. Perfect. Do you need to wait till water is dry in between? No, you really don't. And Rock, feel free to chime in on this because this is, you know, I don't use a lot of veg tan, but once you go back and forth on this quite a bit with your slicker, it's going to kind of dry it, okay? It kind of, the friction of it and the heat of going back and forth does that for you. And so, you know, pretty much at that point, it should be good to go. And you'll be able to kind of tell and feel, and you're not putting so much water on it that you're soaking it, okay? You saw, I just literally stuck my finger in and just kind of dabbed it on the edge, and that's about it. Yeah, these are great questions. Veg tan, I actually like the way the edges are finished on veg tan better than chrome tan, but I just don't use a lot of veg tan. So I'm used to painting and, or base coating and painting a little bit more, okay? Now, unrelated to edge painting, well, yeah, it's really unrelated. I want to show you one more thing. This is something I thought about earlier. And I said, ooh, I need to show them this. What happens when you get glue on the right side of your leather? Okay, you see that right there? So this is the piece I had glued. I told you I had glued two pieces of the veg tan together. And you can see I did that, and then I just cut the edges, and that's how I got this piece right here. Okay, this is just part of this somehow. But I got a little bit of glue on my leather. You can see that, I'm sure. That angle right there. Okay, you can see that kind of shininess. So all is not lost. Your project is not ruined. What you're going to do is you're going to get one of these. This is actually called, I believe, an eraser. You can get it at Tandy Leather, Springfield Leather, and it's kind of rubbery. It's really a cool tool. And what you're going to do is you're just going to rub it on the glue, and it's going to take the glue off for you. Okay, so as you do this, you can see how that glue, let's see if you can see that, it's starting to come up some. See right there how it came up? And you're just going to rub that along. It's not going to ruin, it's not going to hurt your leather. And you can do this on either chrome tan or veg tan leather, either one. Okay. And then you can see the glue is gone. So I've had this one for several years. I mean, they eventually kind of wear down, but you're going to have it for a long, long time. Okay. Nifty little tool, something I highly recommend that you get if you work with leather and you use glue. All right. So I hope that helped with painting and the differences between veg tan and chrome tan. And, that kind of, the questions are great. I mean, this is all stuff that we learn by obviously asking each other and helping each other out. So, I thank Rock for all of his input as well. He has been fantastic, and we learn a lot from him in his interview. So that concludes Leather Month. We did our best to cover all of the questions you had asked and the topics you requested. So I hope you learned something and feel a little more confident working with leather. So remember, leather has a 20% off today when you buy the Zara pattern. So it's a good time to get a small hide and try it out. See what you think. Maybe you can try out some of these techniques. So now it's time for Artistry Avenue. And Artistry Avenue is where we feature you, our customers, bags made by you. And every week we share bags that we either posted on the Simply Classic Bag Making community on Facebook or emailed to share@simplyclassic.net. Featured artists will win a PDF pattern of your choice. This is open worldwide. And if we feature your bag, you'll have 30 days to email share@simplyclassic.net to let us know which pattern you would like. And again, let me just repeat that one time, share@simplyclassic.net. Please make sure you email that email address and not me personally, or don't put a message on the website because it's going to get lost in the shuffle. So we have one person looking out for them, and that's how you get her, share@simplyclassic.net. So the first bag we want to feature is by Amy, and she made the Birchum. She used this really beautiful suede and a white leather strap. Really cool accent material. Love this. She also changed the style of the pocket and added a snap. The Birchum is really a simple design, so you can do it, make a lot of changes to make it exactly what you want in the bag. And Amy really did a great job with this. Denise made this Julie tote using our light pink faux croc. And I had to kind of chuckle because in her post she said, it's really not as wrinkly as it looks. And honestly, it looks great to me. It doesn't look wrinkly to me at all. But I know what you mean, Denise, because sometimes when you go to photograph a bag, the lighting just does not want to cooperate. And it creates what looks like tiny wrinkles and shadows, but they're really not there. So anyway, we love this bag. We think you did a fantastic job. I love the way you used the small part of the croc on the sides and then the larger in the middle. And this is just absolutely gorgeous. Love the tassel too. And then we had to feature a Zara tonight. So Terry is a member of our bag making subscription box. She got the Zara pattern early. She made this absolutely stunning Zara in cork with a really cute hardware bow on the flap. Now I know it's hard to see, but look in the lower right-hand side, the right-hand side of that bag, you can see she added a piece of blue as kind of like a color blocking on there. And it looks like it matches perfect. I really love this. I also want to point out the stitching on the strap. She actually did 2 lines of stitching down the center. Very cool. You really did an amazing job, Terry. So congratulations to all of our artists. Please email us within 30 days to let us know which PDF pattern you would like. And again, that's share@simplyclassic.net. So before we move on to our Q&A, let's give away some PDF patterns or PDF copies of our pattern of the week, which is the Zara. So first up is our giveaway for our live stream. So viewers that are watching live can go ahead and enter. This is open worldwide. This is a PDF pattern. So to enter the giveaway, please type the word winner in the chat. Just winner. And only enter it one time, and we'll let the computer pick a winner while we do our Q&A. Now, We also have a giveaway for folks watching the recording and not the live stream. And this is also open worldwide. So if you are a replay watcher, you're not watching live tonight, but you're actually going back and watching the replay, here's how you enter. Leave a comment on the video before next Thursday with your name and your favorite fabric to use for lining. So for example, cotton, silk, linen, suede, whatever it may be. And then we will pick a winner next week. So again, if you're watching now, type the word winner. So let's look at our questions. So first we have Nicole. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Rob. The Zara is perfect to add a piece of fish leather as an accent. Love that idea. Because, you know, I've been wanting to try out that salmon leather from Rocky Mountain Leather. And I think that might be a perfect reason to get a piece and try it. I think that's fantastic. Love it. Let's see what else we have. Cindy says, I think I need to make the Zara. I love her color blocking. The Zara really is a great pattern for that. Okay, we have, I believe we have the winner. Okay, so the winner is Cheryl Taylor. So congratulations, Cheryl. Yay. All right. So email share@simplyclassic.net. And if you can do that within the next 24 hours, we would appreciate it. And we will go ahead and get you your Zara pattern right away. So again, we want to thank you so much for joining us, not only tonight, but for the whole month, Weather Month. We have a lot of great things planned for the month of August, September, and of course, everything else going forward. I hope that you are able to join us next Thursday, August 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll be looking at the fall and winter bag trends from the runway. Remember, we did that in the spring for the summer, and spring and summer. And so this time we want to look at winter and all the colors and all the new things and all the runway stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Those are some of my favorite ones. So don't forget to submit your Simply Classic makes by posting them in the Facebook group or by emailing share@simplyclassic.net. And please remember to click that thumbs up button on your way out. And until next time, everybody, happy sewing.